The midday sun blazed mercilessly over the sprawling asphalt of Westfield, Sydney, its heat shimmering off carbonates even in the dying days of autumn. Inside the supermarket, the artificial chill and fluorescent hum provided blessed relief from the scorching day. Sarah navigated the crowded aisles with practiced efficiency, her trolley wheels clicking rhythmically against the polished floor. At 38, she moved through life with a weary grace, her designer jeans and carefully applied makeup masking the exhaustion that had settled deep in her bones. Another Thursday, another shop. Her existence had crystallized into an endless cycle of mundane tasks: work, shopping, cooking, sleeping, each day bleeding into the next with numbing predictability. She had perfected the art of invisibility, eyes downcast, earbuds in, a fortress of solitude in the midst of suburban chaos. The bottled water aisle stretched before her like a monument to modern excess, dozens of brands promising purity, vitality, enhanced living. She reached for her usual Mount Franklin, the same choice she'd made countless times before, when a voice interrupted her mechanical routine. "Excuse me." The voice was unhurried, warm, with an accent that seemed to carry echoes of distant places, perhaps Middle Eastern, but layered with something indefinable, something that spoke of journeys across both geography and time. Sarah's hand froze on the plastic bottle. She glanced sideways, taking in the stranger beside her. He was unremarkable at first glance, mid-30s, wearing simple jeans and a faded blue shirt that had seen better days. His dark hair was slightly tousled, as if he'd been walking in the wind. But his eyes were what made her pause. They were deep brown, almost black, and held a quality she couldn't name, ancient wisdom wrapped in infinite kindness. "I seem to have forgotten my wallet," he continued, his lips curving into a self-deprecating smile. "I don't suppose you could spare a bottle of water? I'd be grateful." Sarah's first instinct was suspicion. Men didn't usually approach her in supermarkets for innocent reasons. But something in his demeanor, the complete absence of predatory intent, the genuine humility, disarmed her usual defenses. "Oh," she murmured, her voice rusty from disuse. "Sure, I suppose. Which one?" She gestured vaguely at the overwhelming array of choices. His smile deepened, transforming his entire face. "Any will do, thank you. Though if you had living water, that would be even better." Sarah blinked, her hand still gripping the plastic bottle. "Living water? You mean like alkaline or spring water?" She attempted a laugh, but it came out brittle. "I think they only have still or sparkling here." The man's chuckle was rich, genuine. "The water I speak of, if you knew the gift of God and who it is asking you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." A strange sensation rippled through Sarah, like déjà vu mixed with recognition of something she'd never experienced. The fluorescent lights seemed to dim, the supermarket noise fading to a distant hum. This wasn't small talk about hydration. "Look, mate," she began, her Australian directness kicking in as a shield against the inexplicable vulnerability she felt. "It's just water. Do you want it or not?" He held her gaze steadily. "You're right. It is just water." "And you've had many bottles of it, haven't you, Sarah?" "Many different brands from many different places, with many different people." The bottle slipped from her nerveless fingers, clattering to the floor. Her heart hammered against her ribs. "How do you know my name?" The words came out as barely a whisper. "I know many things about you, Sarah," he said, his voice gentle but carrying an undeniable authority that seemed to resonate in her very bones. "I know you come here every Thursday at 2 p.m. when the crowds thin out. I know you choose this aisle because it's usually empty. I know you've been married 3 times, to David, then Marcus, then James. And the man you're living with now, Craig, he's not your husband, is he?" The words hit her like a physical blow, each revelation stripping away another layer of her carefully constructed anonymity. Heat flooded her cheeks, not embarrassment, but shame so profound it threatened to buckle her knees. How could this stranger know the intimate failures of her life? The desperate search for love that had led her from one relationship to another, each promising to fill the aching void inside her, each ultimately leaving her more empty than before. "How dare you?" she whispered, her hands gripping the trolley handle so tightly her knuckles went white. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to disappear into the maze of aisles and never look back. "I don't dare to judge you, Sarah," he said, and his voice was so tender it stopped her retreat before it began. "I simply tell you what is true. And what is also true is that the living water I offer can satisfy a thirst far deeper than any you've known. A thirst that all those relationships, all those attempts to find love and acceptance have never been able to quench." She looked at him then, really looked. There was no condemnation in those dark eyes, no smugness or superiority. Only understanding so complete it took her breath away, and beneath that, an invitation that seemed to reach into the deepest, most hidden parts of her soul. "But how?" she stammered, gesturing helplessly at their surroundings. "How can you give me this water? You don't even have a bottle. You're just a man in a supermarket." His smile was radiant now, transforming the mundane aisle into something sacred. "A time is coming, and has now come, when the true worshippers will worship the Father in the Spirit and in truth, for they are the kind of worshippers the Father seeks. God is Spirit, and his worshippers must worship in the Spirit and in truth." Tears blurred Sarah's vision, the harsh fluorescent lights fracturing into prisms of color. She had spent so many years running, from God, from herself, from the truth of her own desperate hunger for something real. She had tried to fill the emptiness with men, with work, with shopping, with anything that promised momentary relief from the ache of existing without truly living. But this man, this stranger who somehow knew her better than she knew herself, was offering something different. Not another temporary fix, but a spring of water that would never run dry. She looked down at the bottle that had rolled against her foot, then back at him. The supermarket around them seemed to fade away, leaving only this moment, this choice, this invitation to step into something she had never dared to hope for. "Sir," she said, her voice thick with tears and wonder, I think I need that living water. Please, tell me more." And there, surrounded by the endless shelves of consumer promises and artificial needs, beside the bottled water that could never truly satisfy, Sarah, the woman who had spent years hiding from the world and from herself, began to see clearly for the first time. The man who had asked for a simple drink had offered her everything she had ever truly wanted. The living water was already beginning to flow,